All right, future counselors, welcome. If you're gearing up for the bar, you know how crucial it is to get a handle on new legislation. So today, we're going to dissect a really big one, Republic Act 1190-30, the new law on online sexual abuse and exploitation of children.
Okay, let's dive right in. Back in 2022, this law came along and completely replaced the old Anti-Child Pornography Act. And you've got to understand, this wasn't just some minor tweak. We're talking about a complete overhaul of the legal framework, built from the ground up to deal with the realities of our digital world.
So for you, the question is always the same, right? What are the critical, the most borrowable features that you absolutely have to know cold? Well, that's exactly what we're focusing on today. We're going to zero in on those salient points you need to nail in your exam answers.
First things first, let's lay the foundation of Republic Act 1119-30. Understanding the basic structure here is totally key to grasping its power and its scope.
Now, a lot of people tend to just skim over the declaration of policy, but don't do that here. Section 2 sets a really powerful tone. It explicitly calls out ICT, Information and Communications Technology. And trust me, that's not just legal fluff. It's a huge signal that this law is laser-focused on crimes that happen on and through our phones, our laptops, our entire digital lives. This is the North Star for the whole act.
And this is a non-negotiable point for your exam. Section 44 expressly repeals the old law. So if you get a question on this, you state with absolute certainty that RA 1119-30 is now the prevailing law. The 2009 Anti-Child Pornography Act, it's gone. History, no longer in effect. End of story.
Okay, let's move on to Section 3, definitions. As you know, in law, definitions are everything. Precision is what separates a good answer from a great one, so let's really break down the most important terms you'll find here.
Now, you have to pay close attention to how this law defines a child. It's not as simple as you might think. Of course, it covers people under 18, but it also includes vulnerable adults who can't care for themselves. And here's the big one for our era. It now explicitly includes computer-generated images or any depiction that is made to look like a child.
And that brings me to some bar exam gold right here. This part, about the CGI and other depictions, it is a super critical and highly testable part of this law. Why? Because it blows the scope of the law wide open. It means a crime can be committed without a real, identifiable minor ever being involved. You need to remember that.
Next up, you have to get these two acronyms straight in your head. OSAEC is the act, the online sexual abuse or exploitation of children. Think of it as the verb. CSAEM is the material, the child sexual abuse or exploitation material, the content, the noun. Getting that distinction right is absolutely fundamental.
Now, let's get to the heart of it all. Section 4, the specific unlawful acts. I know, this section can look a bit long and intimidating at first glance, but for easier recall, let's just group these offenses into 3 main buckets.
So the first bucket is all about production and creation. This is about stopping the problem at its absolute source. It covers everything from actually producing the material to even the preparatory stuff, like grooming a child or live streaming the abuse as it happens.
The second bucket focuses on the spread. Think of this as targeting the supply chain of this horrible trade. It covers anyone who offers, sells, publishes, or in any way promotes CSEM. The law wants to shut down all the channels that let this material get out there.
And finally, the third bucket is all about the demand side, the consumption and facilitation of these crimes. This means it's illegal to possess the material, to willfully access it, even to subscribe to a website that hosts it. And it also covers providing a physical place for these acts to happen.
And that brings us to Section 5, which lays down one of those bedrock legal principles you must never, ever forget. Let me be perfectly clear. Under this law, a child cannot legally consent to their own abuse. The so-called consent of the victim is never, not under any circumstance, a defense. Period. It's an absolute rule.
Okay, let's shift gears to what I think is one of the most significant and innovative parts of this law. We're talking about the specific affirmative duties that it puts on tech companies. This is a huge departure from the old way of doing things, so you'll want to pay close attention here.
For what the law calls internet intermediaries, there's a very clear 3-step takedown workflow, and it's time-sensitive. Step 1, preserve data. Step 2, block or remove the content within 24 hours. Step 3, report it to the Department of Justice within 3 days. And believe me, those deadlines are strict and they are enforceable. Now, it's really important to know that the law doesn't treat all tech companies the same. While all intermediaries have that preserve, block, report duty, Internet service providers, your ISPs, have even more responsibilities. They have to be proactive. They can't just wait for a notice. They have to actively report suspicious activity to law enforcement and build child protection right into their corporate policies.
All right, we've talked about the crimes, we've talked about the duties. Now let's talk about the consequences. This is where the law shows its teeth. So what are the penalties, and how far does this law's reach actually extend?
Just take a look at these penalties. They are, well, they're severe, and frankly, they should be. We're talking about life imprisonment plus a fine of at least 2 million pesos for the most serious offenses, like producing this material or live streaming it. The law shows absolutely no leniency here.
And get a load of this number. 20 million pesos. That's the maximum fine for syndicated violations, crimes that are carried out by a group of 3 or more people. This law is clearly designed to dismantle organized criminal rings that profit from this.
Okay, here's a classic bar exam hypo just waiting to happen. Jurisdiction. It's never enough to just know what the crime is. You have to know where it can be prosecuted. So what does Section 14 tell us about the law's extraterritorial reach?
So, does this law have long arms? Absolutely. It applies if the crime started in the Philippines, even if it ended somewhere else. It also follows Filipino citizens and permanent residents abroad, holding them accountable no matter where they are. And crucially, the law protects Filipino citizens even if they are victimized outside the country. Basically, the law can follow the crime, it can follow the criminal, and it can follow the victim.
So I want to leave you with this final thought to take with you as you continue your review. Think about this. How does this law fundamentally shift the burden of protecting children? It's no longer just the job of the police. It is now a mandated legal responsibility of the very digital platforms that shape our entire world. And that, my friends, is a profound change. Study well and good luck.